Okay, okay, here we go. Shalom, family. It's good to see everybody. I'm going to play some music and give people a chance to come in. It's good to see you. Shalom. Right. Shalom, family. It's good to see you all here. I have a video that I'm going to show you of that racist cop with his text messages. And, the one thing I'm amazed by is how they took the peace license away from the cops that killed Tyree Nichols. And that should have been done. I'm in 100% agreement of that. But when these white cops do heinous things, their peace license should be taken away. Like, for example, Breonna Taylor's case. Those cops, we know one of them just went over to the sheriff's department in another town and got hired. That should not be happening. No. Once you botch up the whole crime scene and kill a person on top of that, you should not be allowed to cross over town lines and become a police officer again. And they sure allowed it in that case, and they're really technically allowing it in the case of these racist text messages. Once a cop this is what I'm saying. Once a cop puts racist things on social media, in text messages, and in email, far as I'm concerned, you have openly declared yourself as a racist. Once you do that, no, you should not be out here getting police work at another department in another county or town. That absolutely should not be happening. They should not be out here getting any more police work at all. That's all I'm saying. So let me set this up and we will watch the video of this bubblehead talking on there. But yeah, he just came straight out in the text messages and said, I hate black people. Right there, he should not be eligible to be a cop, especially in a jurisdiction where there are black people. A lot of these cops are like that. They don't like us, but they certainly want to police us. You know, that is their way of getting their hands on us and abusing and killing us. No, that shouldn't be going on, but, we are in America, and you know how racist it is here, period. Alright, let me pull up this video, and then we will get started. Let's see. Alright, give me a 1 if you can see the screen. Give me a 1 if you can see my screen. How you doing, LVZ? Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Okay.
Wasn't alone. Judge Nathaniel Cousins ordered lawyers from both sides into court.
Okay, let's start it all over.
KTVU South Bay reporter Jesse Gary has our exclusive report live from our South Bay Bureau. And Jesse, have the text messages that are being brought to light had an impact on the ongoing civil case?
Well, Julie, good evening to you. Federal Judge Nathaniel Cousins ordered lawyers for both sides into court today to talk about those text messages. As a result of what McNamara allegedly wrote, his defense team says they can no longer represent him. As you heard in a deposition, he says back in 2022, March, he acted by the book.
Every time I've ever had to use force on somebody, it makes me feel bad. I don't like hurting people. I'm not a monster, right? I'm a human being just like everybody else in this room.
In June, Mark McNamara gave his perspective on his shooting of Keon Green while on duty a year prior. Months ago, the veteran lawman offered an apology and an explanation.
Hey, I'm sorry. It's a bitter part of my job. Sometimes it has to be done. I can't go back and say, man, I made the wrong decision. I didn't make the wrong decision. I took the totality of the circumstances and I acted to the best of my training. And
shortly after saying this, McNamara allegedly penned racist text to another unidentified SJPD officer. One said, I hate black people. Another references plaintiff's attorneys as the N-word and I'll shoot you too.
The language that this officer used to talk about our client and to discuss us, to describe us, harkens back to many of the racist stereotypes and racial names. And it was shocking to see that, on a piece of paper that was a text message.
Plaintiff's attorney Adante Pointer wasn't alone in this reaction. Wednesday, federal judge Nathaniel Cousins ordered lawyers from both sides into court to discuss. Cousins saying the text raised questions around a conflict of interest for the city attorney's office, questions about discovery, evidence that could help, or in this case, hurt the defense. And the text could show bias by McNamara and the department, since the recipient isn't identified and the texts are partially redacted. At the end of the 30-minute session, city attorneys conceded they can no longer represent McNamara.
There's going to be a lot of finger pointing as a result of these racist texts, and I think that's the inherent conflict in this case. The city attorney will continue to represent the city of San Jose and SJPD, but they can no longer represent Officer McNamara because of what occurred with these racist texts.
McNamara was one of several officers responding to a fight inside La Victoria Taqueria in March of 2022. Green disarmed the gunman inside, and as he backed out the front door, gun in hand, Only McNamara fired. The would-be football star was wounded and says he still suffers from the effects of that shooting.
It's clear, based on McNamara, who he was texting with, and also previous cases, that dangerous racism is part of the culture of the San Jose Police Department. It's been allowed, it has been fostered, and allowed to leave a lot of people in jeopardy.
McNamara resigned from the force last Friday. The city attorney's office says they're having problems finding replacement counsel. Judge Cousins says if no attorneys step up, the case moves to trial in April, with McNamara representing himself.
It may actually delay our client from getting their day in court.
Judge Cousins is going to tackle the issue of McNamara's defense team withdrawing a week from today. That could impact the timeline for a summary judgment in this case. The deadline for that is November 17th, Julie.
So, Jesse, what happens next in this case, and could he possibly be decertified?
Well, plaintiff's attorneys say they're going to A, write the state attorney general's office, and B, write the U.S. attorney's office to file a civil rights, not only a civil rights violation, but also ask that hate crime charges be brought against McNamara. And they also want him decertified so that he can never serve again as a police officer. Julie.
All right, Jesse Gary live in our South Bay Bureau. Jesse, thank you. South Bay reporter Jesse Gary.
So, this is old liberal California, by the way. This is liberal California, and you can see this cop, this person should never have been a cop. And those text messages, y'all, were put out the very next day after he shot that black man that disarmed someone. He was actually trying to break the fight up. He was able to get the gun away from the guy that had it, and he was backing out, and this officer just walks up and starts shooting. And the very next day, he put those text messages out, and you saw what he wrote: "I hate black people." Nah, yeah, I do agree. Every single one of his cases need to be reopened, and, you know, and he needs to be decertified, period. This guy has no business out here being a police officer anywhere. He should not be a cop anywhere. All right. I'm going to share my screen again. I know you're going to have to look at his disgusting face, but bear with me on this one. Okay. So, as you heard in the video, he says I am not a monster, and he testified over the racist text, which, this guy is he is a hardcore racist. All right, so he shot and wounded, and I did the video on it about 2 days ago. If you did not get to see it, you need to go see the video. So it's Kalan Green. He was a college football player 4 times. He shot him at La Victoria, and this was back in March. That's when all of this happened. So, I mean, it disgusts me that America likes this sort of policing, but they really do. And it's even more disgusting that Joe Biden felt the Asians deserved a crime bill. And when you see stuff like this, there is no justifiable reason why we should have had a crime bill in place now, at least for the last few decades. And you see the Democrats are still not talking about getting a crime bill, but you got the Mark McNamara police officers all over this country. He's far from the only one, and we know that. So when you saw him speaking, y'all, that was at a deposition, okay, over the shooting of Con Green, and he goes on to say, every time I've ever had to use force on someone, it makes me feel bad. He sure didn't look like he was feeling bad in them text messages, did it? He didn't look like he was feeling bad in any of those text messages. If anything, you would look at those text messages. He don't care if he harms or even kills a black man or woman or even a child. And then he goes on and say, I don't like hurting people. I'm not a monster. I'm a human being just like everyone else in this room. Trust me, you ain't like everybody else in that room. Hey, I'm sorry. So this is how he's apologizing to the black man that he shot. Hey, I'm sorry. And he goes on and says, it's a bitter part of my job. Sometimes it has to be done. As far as Mr. Green. Mr. Green, the dude that broke up a fight, instead of saying, hey, put your hands up, turn around, and give him the opportunity to tell you what happened. No, you went in there guns a-blazing. And if you notice, out of all the cops that was with him, he was the only one that shot rounds. The other cops just had their guns drawn. I mean, it's so obvious. And then he goes on and says, so if you're telling me that Mr. Green was not related to the homicide, yeah, that it's very unfortunate. Wow. So not this Friday, y'all, last Friday. Now, this happened, y'all, in 2022. They didn't even get around to firing this dude until this past Friday, right after this shooting. And they were aware of the text messages last year. They knew about the text messages. And it took them a whole year later to fire him. It just goes to show you, when it comes down to their own, they don't like firing their own. Even when they're as wrong as 2 left feet, they still don't wanna fire them. So, so one text message said, "The other day, this N-word lawyer is like, 'Mr. McNamara, we can still find you guilty of excessive force, right?' I'm like, yeah, then what happens? Nothing. Cool, because I'm pretty sure the district attorney would have charged me if I used excessive force, but she did not because I didn't use excessive force. I think I give a F what y'all N words think. I'll shoot you too. Ah, McNamara wrote in a text message. Mm, mm, mm. So you're saying, his attorney is a brother, and you're writing in a text message that you will shoot him too. And you contradicted yourself because you said you didn't use excessive force. And then you turned around and said you'll just shoot some attorney. Wow. Just listening to the mentality on this dude is something else. So, wow. So during the deposition, McNamara even said he would apologize to Green, who was shot after wrestling a gun from an armed person in a restaurant. And you saw on the video a fight broke out. And that's all this college student was doing. He was just trying to disarm the guy. And he did. He was able to reach in the guy's pocket and get the gun. So he goes on, Mark McNamara, if he was here right now, I would say I'm sorry, McNamara testified during the deposition. I would apologize to every single person I have. You go through my body worn camera. I've apologized. I apologize. Almost everybody. I use force. I don't like doing it. It doesn't make me feel good. This is how he's talking during a deposition. This dude don't have any professionalism about himself. He sounds like an idiot. But in text shortly after the deposition, McNamara said Green and his lawyer should thank him because they stand to receive a large payment from the city to compensate for the shooting. Well, I don't think anybody is looking to get shot in the first place. So why should they be thankful for it? So, in other words, he's telling them, you should thank me for shooting this guy, this innocent guy, because now they're going to get a payout from the city. Who thinks like that? Who the hell walks around thinking like that? How about not shooting anyone? How about coming on the scene and finding out what's going on before you pull the trigger? How about doing some real police work, not this crap that you ran up and did? This dude looks like a marshmallow with what's that, rosacea? When they got all that redness on their face. Unbelievable. But this is what they have patrolling out on the streets of America. And technically, y'all, they didn't fire him. They allowed him to resign, which means he can go to another police department and apply and get hired. And that's why, some people are upset about how the San Jose Police Department handled this entire thing. So he technically, right now, as I speak, still got his peace license, which means he would not be wrong to go somewhere else and apply for work. And he probably already have done that. And sometimes these police departments, when they see these officers, they'll just offer them jobs. Oh, you can come over here and work for us. This is unbelievable. But after listening to him talk, he sounds heartless, for real. But you know what? This is the kind of officer America have on their police forces everywhere. Mhm. So I just wanted to show y'all this because I think it was really important to see him on video and hear exactly what he sounds like and his whole demeanor about the whole thing. He seemed kind of nonchalant. Oh, I really don't like doing it. Whatever. And you heard in the video, his attorneys, he had two city attorneys and they both up and quit on his butt. They refused to represent him. And right now, he don't have an attorney. So if he don't get an attorney, I think they said his trial comes up April of 2024. If he don't get an attorney, he will be representing himself. And that right there should tell you the attorneys that look like him won't even represent him. That says a lot. And it also tells me they must have found out even more things about this dude. I bet you it's a hell of a lot more than just those text messages. It must have been something else they found out about this dude. And they're, the city attorneys are refusing. And right now, they're trying to find other representation for him, and they haven't so far. That says a lot. Nobody won't touch this guy as far as representing him in court. Yes, Michelle W. April is the same month of the upcoming eclipse, the solar eclipse, the Great American Eclipse. Mhm. So, y'all, this is all I wanted to do was show you this update. And again, if you didn't see the video I did on the victim that he shot, go back a couple of days. I got that video up. And that video have a lot of what Mr. Green's attorney said in this whole thing. Definitely worth listening to. So, everybody, thank you so much for being here and taking your time out of your day to be on this live stream. I do appreciate it. Please enjoy the rest of your day and shalom, family.